so much for joining this first episode of Authentic Conversations. So you're probably wondering what an authentic conversation is and who are we talking with? Well, I have the great pleasure of welcoming Savannah Power, based in Texas, and I'm in Georgia. So thank goodness for virtual, right? Savannah is an intuitive photographer and videographer. Her company is Myrro, and it's all about reflecting your truth. So we're talking to Savannah today, but I want to give a bit of context of who we'll be talking with in these authentic conversations. It's all about talking with entrepreneurs, and it's about highlighting and humanizing that journey of entrepreneurship. What is it like? Not just the best, but the true experience of bringing all of you to your business. So that's what this is about, is a place, creating a place to explore all of who you are and to actually seeing how that aligning all of who you are with your business is what actually ignites it. So I'm thrilled to kick off our first episode with Savannah. And our topic today, what the message Savannah has to share is to trust your inner voice. So let's start there, Savannah. What does this phrase mean to you? What does it mean to trust your inner voice, or when did you first hear this message?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. First of all, I'm super excited to be here with you. And you know I love authentic conversations, so this is my happy place. But this topic of trusting your inner voice is really big for me right now, but like I kind of feel like always has been as well. And I think for entrepreneurs, it's an especially important one because our inner voice is our guide as an entrepreneur, right? Like entrepreneurship is like the ultimate self-development course in life and
Amen.
growth course in life. And so if you can't identify that inner voice and learn to listen to it and let it be your ultimate guide, you know, you're going to hit a lot more resistance and struggle than you would, I think, if you learn to kind of really listen and again, trust and know that that inner voice is for your highest good and that it's coming from source or your highest self or whatever you want to call it that works for you, but it's coming from a place of ultimate expansion. So it's been something I've struggled with for a really, really long time. I've never been good at it, which is why you teach what you need to learn, right? So yeah, that's why I've brought it into so much of my business, because it really helps me to help other people also with this topic.
Well, and I love that, and we're going to get there. So, but let's start with, you know, what is that struggle? What is that story? I mean, how did you come to know that this was so important?
Yeah, absolutely. So, when I was young, I always grew up being bullied. I experienced a lot of bullying growing up. It started in the 4th grade when I was like brought into this bathroom by a girl who was older than me and just smacked across the face for being nice to the new girl, which was, you know, my inherent go-to is to be nice. And I remember being just like really confused. Oh my gosh, kids. Yeah, that gives me so much anxiety about the future, or just like kids in general. But
my 4.5-year-old, I'm like, please,
yeah,
God,
if I had a child in school, like it's just but
there we are with you.
Yeah, it's important to, it's been a huge part of my journey and has made me who I am. So, you know, I'm ultimately grateful these things happen. But anyways, so there I was kind of in this situation where I felt confused and really scared and just victimized and not allowed to listen to my inner voice, right? Like not allowed to do the thing that felt right to me in that moment. And this pattern, exactly. Yeah. And so this became a pattern for me of sidestepping what Savannah wanted or what Savannah needed or what Savannah's voice was saying for this other person's, you know, opinion or this other person's demand. And so all growing up, I just kind of developed this really strong sense of needing to belong, right? Which we all have. But doing that by people pleasing, doing that by putting my own needs aside and trying to fit in and trying to be liked and all of these sorts of things. And the ultimate kind of peak for me of this was in high school when I was bullied yet again, but this time it was anonymous over the internet. And so I was getting these anonymous, sexually graphic, really disturbing, just horrific messages for almost a full year. And this just like really destroyed my mental health and my trust in myself, my trust in my friends. By the time I graduated high school, I had no friends left except my boyfriend. I guess I had one friend and my boyfriend. I had no eyebrows or eyelashes because my anxiety response was to hair pull and skin pick. And I attempted suicide, I misspoke, not attempted, but considered and contemplated suicide on several occasions, and really felt hopeless and like there was something wrong with me and that I deserved to be attacked. And so this belief of feeling like deserving of being attacked was really what I've now identified as a core wound or a soul wound. And so it wasn't until much later in life that I've been able to sort of excavate that and understand that that is the story that my childhood self learned, and it is not the truth, and been able to separate that story from my actual truth, which is, actually that I'm powerful and that I'm a healer and that I'm mystical and that I have, inherent gifts that can really, really help people. And so that's kind of how my journey started, I guess, and has influenced the way that I do entrepreneurship and the way that I serve my clients.
Well, I mean, incredible. Yes, I know you personally, so I can say, yes, you are mystical and all those wonderful things. But to those who are just getting to know you, I mean, thank you for sharing that very personal story. I think there are a couple of interesting words. You said excavated, when I excavated that. So how did you excavate? And when did you begin to see that you could trust your inner voice? Because obviously when you were younger, or when you were 18, that wasn't the easiest thing to do.
Yeah. I did a lot of therapy and coaching after all of that happened, right? Which sort of laid the groundwork and foundation for the work I'm doing now. But excavating and healing that soul wound is really something fairly recent for me. I'm really finally learning, like people say, process your feelings all the time, right? But like I'm finally learning how. And I do a lot of journaling, a lot of self-reflection, and really just starting to give those different parts of me more expression, really listening to the things that they have to say, the learnings from those experiences. But the sort of key tipping point for me was when I started to separate out the story that I had in my mind from the facts of what actually happened. And that was my first like epiphany moment of like, oh my gosh, like we can create stories and realities in our head that aren't exactly true, like aren't exactly what happened. And so that differentiator was the turning point for me in realizing that I wanted to help people recognize the stories in their head.
I love that. It's so interesting that you do video work, and I think that a lot of times there's stories that are just made up, right? But what's so interesting, so whether it's in your head or on the screen, like a lot of what we are used to seeing is, almost, I mean, that's a big backbone to this show is authentic conversations, authentic stories. So there's a lot of stories out there in marketing. There's a lot of stories out there in entrepreneurship, but to tell a true one and all of
so powerful.
Yeah. So how does this intersect with your business? Like how has it always been a part of your business, or at what point did it begin to really ignite?
So after college, I started making a documentary about my experience being cyberstalked, and this was my way of sort of processing and understanding what had happened. And as part of that documentary, that was when I put myself in forgiveness coaching, and that was where I learned this like story differentiator. And so then I made the connection that, wow, like making this film, this documentary, this telling my story has really been a big part of my healing process. It's forced me to have conversations I didn't want to have. It's forced me to confront, like, how do I want to close this this area of my life out? How do I want to finish this? And so that was the first time I saw a connection between video work and healing. And so I started to sort of incorporate that more into my business, as far as getting entrepreneurs to tell their origin story, and kind of saying, look, like, if you kind of can extract and tell this origin story and learn from it and bring it into your business and make it more foundational in what you do, it differentiates you, it heals you, it sets you apart, and it gives other people sort of a way into the work that you're doing, if that makes sense.
Well, you know it does to me. This is how this beautiful superpower overlooking us, made sure we met in Texas some years ago. So
yeah.
I'll
never forget that conversation. It was, I'm an authentic brand strategist. No way. I do authentic video. It was like
hugs. Yeah.
Magic from there. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's beautiful. So, I think this. So along those lines, you're saying this story you have to tell, like your origin story, as you refer to it, is something that your clients need to hear. So this being, I believe, some part of your origin story, how do you believe that relates to the journey or the experience that your clients are having?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess I see it as a lot of my ideal clients have struggled with this inner voice and have struggled to stand in their power, have struggled to have the self-esteem and self-confidence that the desire to have, and really get in their own way in entrepreneurship and keep themselves from shining too bright, and are too busy listening to that insecure child voice instead of listening to their sort of divine voice, or what I call the divine inklings, that are all around us, all the clues to our higher self that are sort of calling out to us. So
sorry, no deeper on that, like divine inklings.
Yeah, so I sort of coined this term, I don't know, a couple of years ago or a year ago, but divine inklings. Yeah, it's like, because they're just like these little clues, these little inklings to.
This is the intuitive part of what you do, right?
Yes, yeah, totally. And I had a client recently who we were planning on shooting a photography shoot at this one location. And then the day of the shoot, I texted her and I was like, you know what? Every time I visualize our shoot, I think of us at this other spot. Do you mind if we go there instead? And it ended up being like just the perfect, like sunny, beautiful spot for her photos. And that's sort of that divine inkling. It's like allowing that voice to come through instead of being like, oh no, like I don't want to be seen as like last minute and changing, the expectations or inconsistent or whatever, like story you have, just recognizing that like this voice is talking to you for a reason. And this voice is, telling you the direction that is right for you, for your clients. So it's like starting to listen to those little like, oh, I should send that email, or I should call that person, or like, oh, that person's been in 3 dreams of mine, like I should probably give them a text, make sure they're okay. So it's like,
are these something sorry,
go ahead. Yeah,
it's so exciting. I love the whole term. Is it something that you know every day? Like, I mean, I'm curious about it. So how do you guide your clients to take note of these divine inklings? Like,
yeah,
what advice
absolutely.
would you give for someone to get in touch with that?
Yeah. My advice would be to get quiet and spend some time in meditation. For me, they tend to come up when I'm visualizing my highest self, when I'm trying to create the reality that I desire. I'll get these little, divine inklings of next steps or things that need to be completed so I can get there. But it could also come just in the middle of the day while you're driving, anytime where you're kind of, your mind is a little bit turned off and you're kind of
mine's in the shower,
unconscious, right? It's coming from your unconscious.
This whole thing in the shower. No, sorry.
Exactly. No, the shower, totally the shower.
It's like, and tune out right now.
Yeah, put a little. You got to put like something in your shower you can.
Oh, they do have those. I found.
Yeah.
One. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. I love that. So, is there? I mean, how do you? Let's bring this into your business. So, aside from giving those tips to your clients, what about showing up on camera and actually? I mean, you said your clients, struggle to listen to their voice, they struggle to stand their power and to have that confidence. Well, how are they showing up on camera if they feel all of that? I mean, what obviously I'm sure you guide them in some way. So
yeah. So that's kind of why I'm developing this process now, to sort of excavate and heal that soul wound and that inner voice before we go on camera together. But it can also just be, it's, for me, it's really about helping people realize, like, truly know and realize that being more of you is the secret sauce that your business is missing, or that you need, or that your clients need. And so, like, don't try to, like, perfect or change the way that you're going to show up on camera. Just, like, actually reflect in on, like, who am I, and, like, who was I as a child, when I was playful, when I was fun, when I felt free and felt good.
I heard goosebumps as you said that.
Like, what are those, what am I naturally, like, what is my, like, natural essence? And so I actually created some journaling prompts around ideas like that I'll share with you guys in a prep guide to kind of help you prepare to be on camera. But it's kind of this, like,
here's where you can go
perfect. So it's kind of so those journaling prompts can help. I also have some stuff in there about choosing what to wear and your locations, but ultimately it's like, how can I be...
I love that. Get it all in one.
Yeah. Show more of
they both show up on screen, right? Like, there's a million and one. I'm sorry. I got so
you're good.
About that. Yeah, I just feel like there's a million and one videographers who tell you what to wear, or, don't wear the loud patterns or whatever all those tips are. But to all of you shows up on camera, right? To process some of that, I think, is so important, because I mean, like, I just said yesterday on a presentation I gave, you said a secret sauce. I said your authentic selves and being all of who you are is your best marketing asset. It is your truest differentiator. So we are. I love you, Savannah. Right there, sister. Right there.
I got you. Yeah.
So what? So this guide is available, and
so the guide is available, and, like, at the end of the day, for me at least, as a photographer and a videographer, like, I could care less, like, what you're wearing, like, how your hair looks, like, any of that stuff. If you're present and you're getting into the emotions and you're really there when you're telling your story and you're speaking from the heart, like, that's the stuff that's going to give people goosebumps. That's the stuff that's going to make people cry when they watch your video. And so, like,
you made me cry taking my video.
Yes, exactly. And so it's like, it's just like, it's like getting rid of those distractions. It's like, I don't want all the fluff. Like, I want to hear you. Yeah.
I think I couldn't agree on more. I think our consumers, clients, our society just wants more of the real people. Right?
Yeah.
None other filter, none other mask.
Yep.
Who are you, and who am I getting into business with? Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I think that this is just a beautiful message and a great way to kick off Authentic Conversations, talking all about authenticity. So I know people are probably itching to get in touch with you. So how can they do that?
Yeah, so you can find me on my Instagram, which is at Myrro Media. You can also reach out to me through my website. There's a form fill on there to get in touch and schedule a call with me. So I'd love to chat with anyone who's interested in these topics, whether it be collaborating, partners, whatever. Yeah, divine inklings. I truly just love the work that I'm doing now, and I'm very excited about it. So please reach out.
I feel the fire in you with it. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
I'm going to put your Instagram back up there, because I have to say, there's, other photographers that, put up the pretty pictures, and yours are beautiful. But there's, like, the eyes don't lie. And I know, I just had my retreat at the end of last year, and thank you for being there to capture the essence of
my pleasure.
That showed up. But that's what we did at the end, right? We looked at the pictures, and we looked in the eyes, and the eyes don't lie. So I feel like you have a way of showing that, and your posts aren't just photos and here's something pretty. It's a story. The one you did with the reflection and the girl. Y'all gotta go to her Instagram. It's too good. I was like, I told you to put a little fire. Like, yes, I love this.
Thank you. Yeah, it's actually really cool too, because like the eyes thing for me is pretty recent. So like even if you scroll just a little bit back, you can see a difference. Like if you go back to some of my earlier work, like the eyes just kind of feel like a little dead, like, or like just a little.
Because you began to. Here we go.
Yeah, because I really started to go.
Inner voice.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
So you can see the difference if you scroll back a little bit. It's pretty cool.
I'm gonna do that. Too. That's cool.
Do it.
So thank you so much, Savannah. This is, I think, this authentic conversations is about, what lives in all of us, because at the end of the day, we bring the person to the business every day. And so this is a human experience. Like at one point or another, I mean, it's not the story specifics of your story, but that feeling of, not being able to be all of who you are, having to quiet your voice, maybe pleasing others over yourself. I feel that those are very relatable for entrepreneurs and people in business and life too. So
yeah, entrepreneurship is like the ultimate reflection. It's the ultimate mirror.
It brings all of it to the surface.
All of it right up.
You thought that had nothing to do with business. Oh yeah, now it does.
Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly what inspired me to start this. And I think most importantly, it's being on here. It's about, I call it standing in your fire. So your fire is your strength, but thank you for standing in your fire, for having the courage to share your heart and what's authentic to you and the story behind you and your business, how it all aligns. It's absolutely beautiful, and I just love having you on the show and meeting back then in Texas and being on this journey with you. It's just
me too. It's been my pleasure. It's been such a gift to know you and have you in my life and see eye to eye on these things. It's been very validating for me and healing too, because it's one thing to listen to your own inner voice. It's another thing when someone has a similar inner voice and you're like, oh, I'm not crazy. Yeah, totally.
I'm with you, girl. Well, this is a wonderful way to kick it off. And I just want to tell everyone, that we will have these monthly episodes. So the next one is going to be on February 17th with one of our dear friends, Dory Class. And she'll be talking about Be Big. So I know you're curious about that already.
Bow down to Queen Dory. She is amazing. You'll love everything she has to say. She's incredible. So definitely tune in. Yeah.
Well, and we'll be, this will be posted live, but let me put up your link. Oh, let me put actually this. This is the exciting one. I mean, your website too, but get this guide and follow Savannah. Thank you for being here for episode 1 of Authentic Conversations with Entrepreneurs. Take care.
Bye.